we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about history. We're going to talk about the process, and we're going to talk about strategy. For me, I want to talk about the history because a lot of people don't really take time to understand about the footwear industry, right? Why are we in this business as we know it? And to me, everything starts with a reason. If you go back here to the 1900s right here with this Pro Ked and the first rubber outsole, that was a function. To have that rubber outsole, there was a need, there was a reason for that. And getting through the different process and the different timeline, whether it's Keds and Converse, people play in Converse basketball shoes for almost ever. I mean, almost close to the 70s. Adidas took over. We added the spike to the track shoe, to cleats, the kind of the first cleat here, and then this whole revolution with Nike as we all know it. Those were some major moments of product. And I think a lot of people overlook that. I think you got to have a passion to work in this business, and we're talking product process. You have to have a passion for the process. You can learn the process, but you got to understand what you're talking about. You got to understand who the consumer is that you're going through, and a lot of that starts with this. So really wanted to dig into the different triangles and the different positions within the product process. And I think these positions and understanding these roles and responsibility, I know most of you guys come from the industry, but it's really important. If you're an undergrad student, this is the first time hearing this, this is the depth of information that you need to know. You need to understand that how important a developer is, right? What does that person, he or she, provide to the team, and the relationship between that person, the designer, and the product manager. When you put them together, that's a huge relationship. And then you really understanding when you cross over how that communication and those lines of communication cross over with the merchandiser for the account and sales. Those three triangle processes have to work hand in hand, and these two people really have to work perfectly together to have everything aligned. And there's different layers to that now. You can add account marketing to that as part of your process. You can add retail marketing as part of your process, brand marketing on top of that. But these two people, they have to be aligned to make sure the merchandiser is communicating back to the product manager, and the product manager understands how to communicate to design and development to make sure that that relationship is whole. What's some of the key factors of the product manager, right? Listen to the consumer. That should be first and foremost. They're the voice of the consumer. That person really needs to understand what the consumer is saying and how to articulate that. And I say that because everyone can't do that. Like there's people like, no, I heard him say that he wanted it. No, that's what you heard them say. But everyone else in the room was in that focus group, and that kid was like, I don't like all black midsoles. But no, you have to learn how to take what the consumer, or in this case, maybe the athlete, if you're building a performance product. And those are some of the hardest people to talk to. Athletes, they don't really know. They just know what they see and they like it. Understanding what that consumer wants is the most important thing. You can forget everything else. If you do that the right way and communicate it, you're always on the right track. Key channels of distribution. Boutiques, right? So this is our top level of distribution. You know, everyone kind of knows the Concepts and the Undefeateds or even heard of them. High-end, top-level distribution, maybe 1 or 2 stores. Then you go to urban independent, Shoe Palace, DTLR, Dr. J's, East to West Coast. These are major independent accounts that maybe have anywhere from 50 to 100 doors, but they matter in the distribution, and I'll get into a little bit more of that. But most people in our business will have something deliver of some of these type of distributions, as well as the mall distributions. And we all have grown up with these guys, Foot Locker, the PacSuns, Foot Action Champs, Foot Locker is all part of Foot Locker Inc., right? So that's a huge business, one of the biggest business in the mall, with over 1,300 stores just in the US. So you add another 800 stores globally, they're basically the biggest players around the world because of their distribution alone. You know, and to compare that to a Dick's and the sporting good channel, Dick's is probably 400, 500 doors maybe, 600 doors. So just not even half of that, right? So, and they're a huge player in the sporting goods business. So you'll have the Dick's, the Sports Authority, and then you get into specialty with stores similar to like Fleet Feet and those specialty doors for running specialty. And then rounding it off is what we call modern and value channel with the famous footwear, Kohl's, Shoe Carnival, and JCPenney's. All right. So why is this all important? And I believe everybody in this day of age needs to have a clear understanding of how your distribution is going to work, because as we get closer to categories where it's basketball and running, we're going to get closer to categories from a distribution channel that we really need to get focused on. And that focus really comes about monitoring the amount of SKUs you're putting in the product, understanding your total business, and understanding who you're building for and where your shoe's going to lie or where your apparel's going to go is very key to make sure that every one of these channels are successful. So that's really why it becomes super important, because you want to make sure that the energy in here is different than maybe over here and the volume that plays. And I'll go into some more detail with that. If you look at Undefeated Concepts, Undefeated, I think most of you guys know, LA-based sneaker boutique, maybe one door. You put your distribution into that. Colors like purple and teal, we're talking about here in your 10%. All right, that's basically where it starts to come, the formula starts to come together, right? You're looking at how many guys are going to buy an all purple shoe. Purple is different now, but it's definitely changing, right? And here, your basic core colors for your regional guys, right? These guys still might buy 1 or 2 pieces, but as you get to a broader audience, your consumer is changing. Your consumer is broader. They want to have pieces that they can wear every day. So that's where that channel of distribution and what you're creating also changes. And that's where Jerry's Triangle really shapes things up. And at the bottom here, Champs and Foot Locker. If anybody ever worked with Champs and Foot Locker, it's black, black, red, black, black, red, white, 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 depending on the season. It doesn't change. And then maybe they'll take a few of these colors. But the bulk of their business, we're talking, 20,000 units on one colorway of a black shoe, and you have 6 of them in your assortment. That's a huge order, right? And they're going to put it in all doors, 400 doors, 600 doors. They're going to expand it, and they're just going to take it wherever they want it to go. So that